So I'm here at Stoller Vineyards with winemaker Melissa Burr. Hey Melissa, how are you today?
Good, thank you.
I was wondering if you could share with our audience a little bit about you and how you got into the wine industry and what you're doing today.
Sure, yeah, thanks. Well, I grew up here in Oregon and grew up just about a half hour south of where we are today at Stoller in the Dundee Hills, so Salem. And after high school, traveled around, got an associate degree, did some odds and ends, went to a ski resort, then decided I wanted to get serious about a career and was really involved with homeopathy and getting into organics and focused on naturopathic medicine. So I decided to get my bachelor's of science in pre-med in Portland. And during that time, my husband Simon and I lived right next to a grocery store called Zupan's that sells really great, moderately priced wines. And we started getting this interest in wines while I was studying. And concurrently, his folks bought a vineyard in White Salmon, Washington, which is in the Columbia River Gorge, and old vineyard, 12 acres of these old 40-year-old vines. And so the whole family started getting into wines. And actually, it was my mother-in-law. It's just, she didn't do this, but it didn't push me there. But ironically, I guess, we were in the garden. She had this beautiful garden, and we were talking about me going to med school. And she looked at me and she said, you know, you would make a much better winemaker than a doctor. And I was kind of annoyed because I was working my butt off. It was really challenging with the pre-med, you know, the biochemistry, organic chemistry, all that stuff. And it was really focused. But she said, well, you know, you've got a palate, you love to talk about the wines, you know, you can drink more wine than anybody I know. And I just looked at her, and so that kind of went on, and got accepted to a great college that was in Portland for naturopathic medicine. And my husband Simon and I, before that fall, were talking about what our life would look like if I went to graduate school. And decided that, you know, after spending like $100,000 on college and having to go out and work a ton afterwards and live downtown forever, we decided to think about something together. So he went into viticulture and I went into enology with my science and took some classes at OSU and locally at Chemeketa, a college in Salem. And then 2001 was my first commercial internship as in wine production at a winery called Cooper Mountain, which is in Beaverton, Oregon here. And got there, and 4 days before the harvest started, the assistant winemaker quit. And so it was me and the vineyard team, and we did 16,000 cases of wine. And we had help from the consultant winemaker at the time, Rich Cushman. But long story short, that was my kind of first shoe-in, and I stayed there for a couple years and then got in contact with the Stollers and started working here with the Stollers in 2003. So it's been a really interesting progression, and I feel really fortunate. A lot of it's the right place at the right time. I didn't wake up when I was a little girl and say, I'm going to be a winemaker, but it's just really fortunate how it transgressed to the point that it is. And to date, this is my 8th vintage, coming on 9th this fall with Stoller Vineyards, and we've grown immensely over those past years since 2003. Are we working okay?
I think it's working fantastically.
Oh, great.
So let me ask you a question for young women today who do wake up at a very young age and say, I want to be a winemaker. Do you have any advice, any hints for them? Do you think winemaking is a better path than becoming a viticulturist?
I think that winemaking and viticulture is going to depend on your focus. I know some people, I have a friend, Nadine Liu, who used to do the viticulture for a big winery here locally, and she's from Davis, and she did lots of work. She was a plant person, and she just knew that she wanted to be in the vineyard, and she got called that way. And winemaking is obviously related but different, and I think, you know, I love to cook, and so someone that wants to be a winemaker, a young woman, fortunately has a lot of opportunities to get experience because there are so many wineries that are here now. The wineries have doubled in the last 4 years in this local area. There's so many wineries worldwide that hire interns, and people, a young person can be, you know, 21 years old and go to Oregon and do a harvest with me here for 3 months, and then contract with someone in New Zealand and do their harvest, and a couple months later, or Australia would be the first one actually after Oregon because of the opposite seasons. Go from Australia to New Zealand, back to California, over to, Chile, and just hop around the world and get vintages. So someone in essence that was young and free, free on their feet, could do 3 vintages, maybe 4, if they're really pushing it in a year, and get some great experience. And if you couple that with some education, you get some science, get a science degree, you studied chemistry and all that, and show that you have that follow through and that educational base, you can you can really find yourself in the right position. And the best thing I think you could do if you want to become a winemaker is to do a vintage above and beyond anything else. I think before you decide to sign up for 4 years at viticulture school, I think the bigger priority is to do a 3-month vintage, because you might hate it. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, and it's just a whole different, it's a very unique experience.
So learn what you're getting yourself into before you get into it.
Do that for sure. Learn that, look at the salaries you get, look at the, the opportunities, look at the everything, and then know. And if you love that, then I think you should go for it.
So this is a job that you need to love. This is not, very few people are getting rich.
Correct.
Lots of people are doing work they're not thrilled to do sometimes, but at the end of the day, you have to be happy with the wines that you make, and that has to give you fulfillment.
It does, and I think that's what people are doing it for. Everybody, all the winemakers I know, that's why they do it. And that said, I think it's an amazing choice for a career, because it is really interesting. It's fulfilling. It's changing all the time. It's even just the flow of your job day to day. I mean, you're going from harvest, which someone might hate because it's really, dirty, hands-on, this and that, long hours, to, doing some food and wine events. There's lots of really amazing people in the industry. And so I think for someone that loves, is intrigued by winemaking, it's really rewarding. So I think it easily transgresses to a really fulfilling career if you're if you're interested in the things that it offers.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.